Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday live stream for studentloanjustice.org. It's Monday, November 8th. So I've got some breaking research to share with you all tonight. This is very interesting information that you need to be aware of. You'll never see it reported, at least I have not seen it reported anywhere in the media, but it's worth knowing about. So let's see. First of all, believe it or not, and I've said this before, but I just looked at the numbers and it's still true today. Before the pandemic, in the fourth quarter of 2019, more than half of all borrowers were not making payments on their loans. Like, I say that a lot. I've known it's true, and I'm just looking at the research at the Department of Education data now. But this stuff is never reported, guys. What other lending system can you say that even before the pandemic, over half of the borrowers were not paying? So indeed, fourth quarter 2019, it turns out that fourth quarter 2019, 57, no, sorry, 58% of the borrowers were not paying on their student loans. That's for the direct loan program. Oh wait, no, sorry. That is for the older style FFELP program. So let me go back. Fourth quarter 2019, 53% of the people with direct loans, and that's 87% of all federal student loans, were not paying on their loans. For the older style FFELP program, this was 58%. Now, so that is news. That is newsworthy. It's been true for a long time, and we've known it, but you never hear it reported in the media. So I'm going to write an article about that tonight. But there's some more other data that I just happened to notice in looking at the Q4 2019 data, including the default data. And this is actually breaking news that's never been broken at all, period. And this is actually new information to me. For the FFELP loans, FFELP borrowers, so typically this is older people who took out their loans previous to 2010. As of right now, what are we in? Q3 last quarter, 2021, 48.2% of people with FFELP loans were in default. 50%, half, were in default. And remember, guys, I happen to know that around 20% of all people who default on their loans wind up doing something that's incredibly unwise, but they rehabilitate their loans. So right now on the books, 50% of FFELP borrowers are in default, but truly the number of defaulters is far higher than that. It's like 20% higher than that. So it's probably around 63 or so percent. 3 out of 5 FFELP borrowers in the country right now are in default or have defaulted on their loans. Now step back for a minute, guys. Let's think about that. Let's put that in some perspective. The default rate for subprime home mortgages was 20%, 1 in 5. Well, now we're provable. People with certainly with FFELP loans, 3 in 5 are in default. That's just outrageous and crazy. And why does the press never report on this? I mean, and this is the thing I don't get about this whole thing is there's a lot of good reporters out there reporting on the student loan problem. There's I don't know, Islet Sheffy, Annie Nova. There's some terrible people at Forbes magazine. I won't even mention their names because they're snakes. They don't even deserve the advertisement, but they're terrible. Like Zach Friedman, to name only one, but there's others. Um, why are they never reporting this? You know, there's a lot of who I consider to be good reporters out there working this beat. And any fair minded reporter, when confronted with the fact that half of all borrowers in the FFELP program are defaulted, more than half, 60%, you kind of have, as a fair minded reporter, you kind of have to call that a catastrophically, cataclysmically failed lending system. Um, you just have to. And remember also, guys, we now know that the class of 2004 has a default rate of 40%. And the class of 2004 is only borrowing a third of what people are borrowing today. So while we're seeing that the older borrowers, typically people in their 40s, 50s, and beyond, while half of them are in default, what do you think is going to happen for more recent borrowers who borrowed far, far more? I mean, right now, the on the book default rate for direct loans is around around 15%, well, 14%. But again, that's on the books. The true number is significantly higher than that. So what's going to happen to those people? I mean, come on, it's just ridiculous. So this is stuff that's never reported that should be reported. So as by way of an action item, I'm going to write up what I just told you in a quick little article. And I hope that you will help spread the word about it. You know, nobody's going to know this stuff until we tell them. I mean, the mainstream media has showed time and again that they don't want to report the important facts about this student loan system that would lead any rational person to quickly conclude that this lending system is catastrophically failed. It's done. It's toast. And people need to realize that. It's kind of important. You know, the fact that half of people with FFELP loans are in default and 3 out of 5 have defaulted on their loans. I mean, that's noteworthy, guys. But you know, on that note, there's a couple other points of research that are never accurately reported at all. Like, for example, and this is frankly probably the most important point of research that we've ever done as an organization, it turns out that the federal government has been making a profit on defaulted student loans. This has been true for decades. Let me just repeat that. It's important. Well, let me back up for a minute. Let's look at another example. Let's look at credit cards. On a defaulted credit card, the credit card company is thrilled to get back, say, 10 cents on the dollar for a defaulted credit card account. 10 cents on the dollar is what they can reasonably expect to get back, and that's on the high side. For defaulted federal student loans, the Department of Education gets back more than $1 on the dollar for a defaulted loan. And you can't say that for any other type of loan, including government guaranteed or made loans like VA loans and small business loans and probably PPP loans. And well, those don't need to be repaid, so I guess that doesn't matter. But my point here, guys, is that when a lender makes a profit on a defaulted loan, first of all, that's unprecedented, unheard of. There simply is no other loan in existence for which that is true. But more importantly, that is a defining hallmark of a predatory lending system. So there's no way that the government would make a profit on defaulted student loans. If bankruptcy protections existed for the loans, if statutes of limitations existed for the loans, as they do for all other loans in this country, the government would not make a profit on defaulted student loans in that case. And that would be a good thing, because defaults are supposed to be a bad thing for a lender. When a bunch of loans default, the lender should be like, ooh, ouch, this is not good. I need to quit making these loans or rethink how I'm doing this whole thing. Well, that very important feedback mechanism has been stripped away from student loans for decades now, like 40 years. So folks, these are important facts that you need to know. And the world needs, well, maybe not the world, but the country certainly needs to know this information. So I'm going to write this article tonight. I'm going to put it up tomorrow. And I'm really going to we need your help to disseminate this. So we're going to publish this thing. We're going to give everybody our huge press email list. And we're going to encourage everybody to send this report to their media to report on, to their members of Congress, maybe chambers of commerce, maybe Republican governors. We need to get this information out there, guys, because if we don't tell them, nobody will ever know. We've got 1 million people in our group now, so we have a great muscle to flex. We've got the power to get the word out, even if the media doesn't help us. But it's got to start with you. We need you in this battle right now. You know, we've never been in a more critical time than we are right now today as I speak. We've got great bankruptcy legislation in the Senate, S-2598. We've got another good bankruptcy bill in the House, H.R. 4907. That's going to be a little tougher push. That may not happen. But I think there's a very good chance of us getting our bankruptcy rights back for federal loans through S-2598 this session. Moreover, we also have the head of the lending program, Richard Cordray, on record as saying that they are taking a very serious look at how they deal with opposing student loan borrowers, federal student loan borrowers, in bankruptcy court. So in other words, knock on wood, I don't want to hex myself, but dudes, there's a very good chance that Joe Biden is going to take our advice, which we've been calling for since before the election, and order the Department of Education to stop opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. That's a very big deal. That essentially is tantamount to returning standard bankruptcy protections to federal student loans. So we need that legislation, but you know, we could get an executive order in the coming, could be weeks. So we have that. And remember, guys, the most important thing I'll probably say to you tonight is that whatever you may read in the paper or on the internet, etc., I do not think, and I have very good reason to believe, that we are going to get any kind of meaningful, widespread loan cancellation until and unless we get the threat of bankruptcy returned to our back pocket. Right? Nobody wants to file for bankruptcy. Hopefully nobody will have to file. The point is not running out and filing for bankruptcy. The point is that we've got to have the threat of bankruptcy back on our side in order for the president to feel compelled to cancel student loans. Because I'm telling you guys, when bankruptcy protections are returned, all of a sudden, all the calculus changes. All of a sudden, Joe Biden says, oh, okay, we have to cancel some loans now. If we don't cancel some loans, we could see 10, 15, 20 million or more people flood the bankruptcy courts to the point of seizure. You know, in an average year, less than 1 million people file bankruptcy for any reason, credit cards, businesses, etc. Less than 1 million people. So to think that 5, 10, 15 million people, 20 million, who knows, could even be higher than that in the next few years, are going to overwhelm the bankruptcy courts to the point of seizure. No president wants that on his record. I mean, it's just a terrible outcome. So the threat of bankruptcy is absolutely what is needed to get loans canceled. Because right now, guys, read any number of papers and articles, And you will see, and just watching this thing as we've done very vigilantly for the past 2 years since we started the petition calling, launching, in fact, the concept of canceling student loans by executive order, Joe Biden is not going to cancel loans by executive order in a meaningful way in the current political dynamics. We might see this up to $10,000 loan cancellation, which will be nonsense. We might see up to $50,000 loan cancellation, which will be nonsense. I'm telling you guys, we've seen this movie before. Public service loan forgiveness, with IBR, with ICR, with pay, with repay. We're not going to see meaningful loan cancellation in the current political dynamics. We're going to see nonsense, which comes to almost nothing for almost everyone. We don't want to be stuck on that roller coaster for yet another go-round, guys. We need to get bankruptcy protections returned, as the founders called for in the body of the Constitution. That should be job one for everyone. If you want loan cancellation, you should be fighting for bankruptcy. And maybe as an aside, there's other groups out there fighting for loan cancellation. And I'm sorry, but these people have been around the block a few times. I've seen them in operation for, I think, nearly 10 years at this point. They know what I know. If they don't, there's just no excuse. They've been looking at this problem, maybe not as hard as us, but certainly they're old enough and smart enough to know that we need bankruptcy in order to actually get loan cancellation. So why are they not fighting for it? I don't know. It is baffling. And frankly, it's disturbing. There's one group that I will not name, which we found very close links to with the student loan industry. In fact, there's a group out there, I won't mention their name, who we found close ties with a marketing firm in Washington, D.C. that makes its living creating fake grassroots groups on behalf of banks, insurance companies, oil companies, the student loan industry, yes. And they fought very hard in years past to keep bankruptcy gone from student loans. So again, I'm not going to mention any names here, but I would hope that not all the other groups out there are that terrible. I would hope that the other groups out there would have the intellectual, maybe academic, intellectual honesty to realize what I just said. We can fight for loan cancellation all day long, and what we're going to see at most is this nonsensical up to $50,000 nonsense. I'm sorry. And we like Elizabeth Warren. We like everybody who's fighting for student loan cancellation, but we're not going to sign off on nonsense. And that's precisely what we're going to get without the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. So, hey, if you guys have any questions or comments, throw them out right now. I will happily respond to them if I can see them. But I think I'm going to keep it a little short tonight and maybe cut it off there. Two things I'll say finally. We need your help, guys. I know I say it every night, but the one thing that you can be doing right now that would help tremendously and is easy to do is go to our website and do the past month's worth of our daily actions. So go to studentloanjustice.org, go to daily update. It's our daily updates. And in those updates, you will see daily actions listed. They take most of the time seconds to do. It's like stuff on Twitter, send an email to this guy, very easy stuff. Literally 30 seconds or less is the amount of time that it takes. You probably want to have a Twitter account. That is helpful. Do a month's worth of those daily actions. It will help tremendously. So please, we need you. I cannot tell you enough how important you are. Nothing will happen until you make it happen. We've got 1 million people in this group, but I swear, the more people we get onto our petition, into our group, the more people think, oh, I don't have to do anything now because we have such a big group. And that's just nonsense. Almost the reverse is true, it would seem. Like the bigger this group gets, the more lazy everybody else gets. And that's just exactly the wrong attitude to have. We've been doing this for 16 years now, guys. And you got to put your own work. You got to own this problem. We can't do your work for you. We can't send those stupid little tweets out for you. But when 1 million people send those tweets out, mountains move. You know, 1 million retweets on the stupid stuff that we put out. It's not stupid. It's important. But you may think it's stupid because, like, okay, what is this? It took me 5 seconds to do that. What's that? When 1 million people do it, everything changes, guys. There is true strength in numbers. That only matters when you help us flex the muscle. We are the only group that I'm aware of that's fighting this battle in a very smart way. Get with that. Spread the word, by the way, about this group. Spread the word about our petition. We are where it's at, guys. If there was a group, a smarter group than ours out there fighting the right fight, I would take this thing behind me and throw it away, and I would join that group. But that group doesn't exist because it's us. So it does exist. It is us. This is ground zero. It is. It just is. Google us if you have any doubts about that. Google us going back to 2006, and you can see that we're saying almost exactly the same things today that we were saying back then. It's truer now than it ever was. We got this, guys, but we need your help because these are your loans, and this is your problem. So please just remember that. Hey, Pepper Bryant, have a comment here. I don't tweet. What other form can we use? Good point, Pepper. There's all kinds of other things that you can do. You know, Facebook is great. Quite frankly, we don't do enough group actions on Facebook. We probably should. All the stuff that you can tweet about, you can find very smart places to post on Facebook, on articles, on Republican governors' Facebook pages, other places. You know, we don't want to micromanage people. We have smart people in this group that can think for themselves. Everybody on this group, to our credit, has been to college at least. So we're not the stupidest people in the world. We're clever, we're creative. We can come up with very smart ways to spread this message. Spreading the link to our petition is helpful. Spreading our research, like what I'm going to post tomorrow, is very helpful. The stuff that we're talking about on Twitter, transposing that to Facebook, to Instagram. Think of something. Be clever. Surprise us, I would say. And when you really move the needle in our direction, when you can get a governor to acknowledge something, or if you can get a news organization to report on our stuff, let us know, because we don't always know about that stuff, and we would love to brag on you about it by way of inspiration, if nothing else, to the rest of the group. It only takes one person, guys. Like right now, if even one person was to get one Republican governor to stand up and say, Mr. President, enough. I will not let my state of Texas or my great state of Missouri or Florida or Alabama or South Carolina or Indiana or Tennessee, Alabama, I will not let my state be conquered and enslaved by this federal debt. Mr. President, this lending system has failed. It's time to reset this whole thing. Cancel the loans, and let's replace this lending system with something that is rational, that is sane, rather than insane, something that is state-friendly, rather than state-wrecking. When even one person, could be you, Michael, could be you, Pepper, even one, it could be me, I hope it is me, but could be anybody. When one person can get that one Republican governor to stand up and say that publicly, honestly, I think that's pretty much game over. I mean, that will change the political dynamics in this country. Like, it will be the domino that I think will probably cascade into the end of this lending system. Because right now the issue seems to be hijacked. It's being held hostage by this bipartisan, or I should say partisan divide, where the Democrats are saying, yeah, we want loan cancellation. Oh, but we're not sure about that. We're quiet on bankruptcy, but we want loan cancellations, like stuff that Elizabeth Warren is saying. Elizabeth Warren's been quiet on bankruptcy. I don't. That's just baffling to me. So And the Republicans are like, no, we don't want the freeloaders, loan accounts. We don't want that. And those are very dangerous, terrible dynamics for us, folks. And there's no good reason for it. No good reason. Governor Ron DeSantis in Florida, he should be on our side. On and on and on. Any Republican governor looking honestly at the data, which I've said tonight, the default stuff, but more importantly, the state budget data, which shows that, for example, the state budget of Florida, speaking of Ron DeSantis, is $80 billion. The people of Florida owe $120 billion in mostly federal student loan debt. Any honest governor looking at those numbers should come to the very same conclusion that I came to, which is that, holy cow, this lending system is poisonous. This thing is a cancer on our state. So think about it, guys. There's a lot riding on this. And you, sitting there, you may not think you're important, but you could really be the straw that breaks this camel's back. And that's a good thing. This camel needs to have its back broken. This is a very dangerous, historically dangerous lending threat to this country. It needs to go away. And it's not your fault, by the way. We had nothing to do with it. The people haven't changed at all. What's changed is this lending system has been weaponized. It's failed. It's got to go away. That is the best thing for us. It's the best thing for the country. Quite frankly, on balance, it's going to wind up being the best thing for the taxpayer. It's going to be the best thing for the economy. The best thing for everybody is to take this lending system to the bath and drown it in the tub and replace it with something that is sane, as I said before. So I know you're trying, Michael. Yeah, for sure. I know, Pepper, both you guys. But for every Michael Jacobs out there and every Pepper Bryant, and check out Michael's film, by the way. He interviewed a homeless guy in Pennsylvania whose student loans were a very strong contributing factor to his current station in life. But for every one of you guys, there's like 10, if not 15 people who are sitting on the sidelines eating popcorn, waiting and watching and worrying and getting nothing done. That doesn't help them. It doesn't help us. It doesn't help anyone. Those people need to turn over a new leaf because, quite frankly, I don't know, I can't speak for you guys, but I'm a little tired of carrying the weight for these guys. And there's no good reason that they shouldn't be fighting with us. Fighting feels good. Fighting is cathartic. We have the founders on our side. We have the Constitution on our side. I sleep like a baby at night. I don't even worry about my student loans anymore, really. I worry about fighting this unfair, nationally threatening lending scam, for not only for myself, but for the 45 million people in the country who are also screwed. 38 or 40 million were going to default on their loans. And the hundreds of millions of people, they're going to follow in our footsteps and don't deserve to be conquered and enslaved by this predatory debt. So, anyways, guys, I've gone way too far, way too long tonight. I'm sorry about that. But spread the word. And maybe the last thing I'll say is if you can donate at this time, would be helpful. We survive and thrive on very little actual funding. Right now, we need to raise around $380 through the rest of the week just to keep the lights on and the phone on and the internet on and stuff. So please help there if you can. Just go to the website, studentloanjustice.org. So with that, I will call it a night. I will wish you all good luck, Godspeed. Check back on a daily basis because things are happening right now and we need you. And you need us. And you need everyone in this group to be helping. And that starts with you. So please, Godspeed. And God bless everybody. I'll see you on Wednesday. It'll be back tomorrow.